Hey there! Did you know we have a Patreon? You can get early access to all of our content with any amount pledge. Consider it and spread the word. Now on to the show. Spoiler warning. This podcast will spoil elements from both the gameplay and story for Final Fantasy X. Welcome, guys. We're talking about Final Fantasy X. In this podcast, we call Why We Love, where we talk about games or franchises that we like, and we just
fanboy out.
fanboy out. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That was the word. I just don't say that often, so it's kind of weird.
Or fangirl out. We don't judge.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's a lot of listeners out there.
So basically, we're talking about Final Fantasy X, and I think at least the three of us really liked it. I know there are some people that don't think it is in like even the top Final Fantasies. Like they always say 6 or 7 or Tactics or I mean some people even say 9 or even I've heard some people mention 4. I don't agree with that. But anyway, we really like 10. I think the story, particularly, is really interesting. And just basically a lot of things. But let's start off with, like, who was your favorite character and why? Like, for me, it was Auron, honestly. I just think from that
Yeah.
game, he was just so interesting and his story was just I don't know. I think I liked him so much that I just really like everything that had to do with him. And when you learn his story, it's really interesting. And yeah, spoilers ahead for anybody who hasn't played the game. But before I like keep going on with Aaron, like who was your favorite character?
Well, at least I agree with you.
Oh, and by
I
the way,
also
I'm
like
sorry. I'm sorry.
Auron.
We're talking to Christian Sanchez and Jorge Cotto.
Hello.
Who are both fans of the game. Sorry, I didn't introduce you guys.
It's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, like this started off as a conversation between the three of us, and we've been friends for like
Yeah.
almost 20 years, I think. So it's
Mhm.
kind of weird. I don't expect to be introduced when I'm talking to you
Yeah,
guys. But
I
yeah,
don't
There's
introduce
also
you guys.
I don't think did you introduce yourself?
Oh, I actually
That is
don't think
true.
so. My name is Gary Casillas, and yeah, I don't also introduce myself to in any conversation, so it's weird for me. But yeah, basically we're all fans. Gary Casillas, Cristian Sanchez, Jorge Cotto, and we're just talking about the game. But yeah, let's resume. What were you saying, Christian?
Yeah, my favorite character is also Auron. Yeah, I also thought he was just a very interesting character.
Yeah.
I think that he just also because he was a little older than the other characters, he had a super interesting backstory,
Yeah.
and we get to see it develop during the game. So yeah, I think his character was very well built during the game.
Yeah, yeah. I think his introduction to the game is also like really awesome. Like,
Oh yeah, he
Oh,
was
yeah.
really cool. So
He's super badass. He's just like standing on a ledge, like Batman style, just watching Sin come over to Sanrican and going like, "I got this. I'll
yeah,
walk super slowly
you-
while the destruction is happening through the city." Because
yeah.
I am
I
the
think
most
it's that
badass
part,
character.
the
The
part
most
that he's
badass.
just walking through the destruction and everybody's like running. And he's just so calm about it.
going the other way, just going the other way.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah,
towards
so,
the whole thing. Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, like-
so we definitely recommend anybody listening to look up on YouTube
Final
what
Fantasy
the-
X's intro.
the intro. Yes.
It is one of the most badass intros in a game that I could picture.
Yeah, I think it's the first time
And,
I
yeah.
heard like metal, like actual like just a really metal,
Heavy metal.
heavy metal song in a Final Fantasy
Ramstein,
game.
dude.
Yeah.
Ramstein.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you guys. Oren is he's an amazing character. He has a really cool character. He has sunglasses. He is the guy that is always wearing sunglasses, and that is,
Yep.
you know, that when you're in a story and you watch a character that doesn't take sunglasses off, he is the badass of the group. So, and he has his like moonshine jug. So yeah, like
Also,
to me,
yeah,
he's
that
one of the coolest.
too.
But while you guys chose Oren, and I respect that, I think you both know who my favorite character is of all time, and that's Waka. And Waka doesn't get a lot of love, but I'm going to tell you why Waka is my favorite character, and he's one of the coolest characters ever. Let's start off with the fact that he is a ginger Rastafari. Okay, he has bright orange hair, and he talks in a Jamaican accent. He is also the captain of a underwater soccer team, which is an amazing sport because, you know, A, soccer is considered the king of sports in all the world, and B, you know that I love the ocean and I love surfing and all that stuff. So you combine two of my favorite things into one sport, and he is the captain of his island's complete team. He is so badass that his weapon is his soccer ball. While all of the other characters have swords, have staffs, have like claws, whatever, he has a soccer ball. Do you know how hard he needs to throw a soccer ball in order to kill a fiend?
Yeah.
Waka is amazing.
True.
Waka is, I mean, like I'm one of the guys that, like, when I see a story, be it an anime, be it like Game of Thrones, be it any type of series, I like my characters. I like to like immerse myself and like try to be friends with the characters.
Mm.
And Waka is one of the few characters that I wish was real. That I say, like, dude, I want to hang out with you. I want to go to the beach with you. I want to play blitzball with you, man. You're cool as hell.
I mean, I think
He
everybody
is-
wants to play blitzball. Honestly, like it would be really,
Yeah, I mean-
really awesome.
It really is. I mean, dude, like Waka, even like he is the first person, well, the second after Riku, but the first person like to vouch for Tidus, and he even gave him his brother's sword.
True.
I mean, that is a really bro moment. Like,
True.
dude, I like you. You're cool. You're a good player. Man, this belongs to my brother. I miss him. He passed away. Here, you have this. I want you to have this. And like that to me is like, man, Waka, you are by far the coolest character in the entire game.
You know,
Yeah.
and I
very
think that actually brings up a good point, like for why I personally like this game a lot, and I think it's the fact that everybody's kind of shrouded by sadness in some way, like
Yeah.
every single storyline or every single story. I mean, I don't know if Riku kind of falls into this, but like they all have like their own demons or things that they're trying to fight, and
Yeah, Riku has the racism. She's an Albed and people Albed, and she's super depressed because of that. And, like,
but I don't know if there's some, like, for example, like Juna is going to
There was
die.
another. There was another.
Tidus
there was
is. What were you gonna say?
That Riku was Yuna's cousin, so she was really sad that she was gonna die.
Sure.
That-
I mean,
that is
I
another
guess
point,
that
yeah.
that everybody else kind of had, like, they were also sad for Yuna, but they had their own demons they were dealing with. Like, for example, Waka lost his brother while he was fighting Sin. Lulu also lost her fiance, who was the brother, right? Of Waka.
Waka's brother. Yeah.
Yuna is basically going to die. Kimari was banished from basically the Ronso tribe, or I don't know if it's tribe or consider a community or whatever. Aaron is basically lost everything and kind of went kind of crazy if you are honest.
Died.
Yeah, and Tidus basically can't return to his home. My point is that they're all kind of flawed in many ways, and they are all trying to like
Yeah,
overcome that sadness. I think when
yeah,
you put
that's
them all
true.
together and you see how they play off each other, in fact, I think that the fact that Riku doesn't have all of those things, all of that baggage, I guess, also helps to when they start talking, because she's usually more cheerful in
Yeah.
situations, and I think that kind of rubs
Yeah,
everybody the wrong way in some way. Uh, Particularly Waka, we like you touch on the racism, and I think that's I don't know. There are so many things that the story of this
dude,
game
this
touches.
game
Yeah,
is really really layered in terms of the themes that it explores, and that's like another reason that I like this game.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Like
I
okay, like
think we can well, just to mention real quick that we
yeah,
can sort of talk about how this game sort of was new for us as children who played it, right? Like many of the themes in the game
yeah.
were kind of very different.
yeah,
Uh,
that is true. I mean, like that I remember like that game came out when we were finishing sixth grade and going to seventh, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like
And
that. Maybe we were
yeah,
11,
and
12.
11, 12, and like it was one of the first games for the PlayStation 2, and like we grew up with the PS1 era, and like a lot of the games were a lot more simple. Like my video game collection by that time, it was like basically Crash Bandicoot, Tekken 1 through 3, maybe some Jet Moto and Twisted Metal, I think was the other one.
Mm.
But yeah, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, Final Fantasy 7, of course, and 8, but that's another conversation for another day. Um,
Yeah.
um, and then like all of a sudden we get Final Fantasy 10, and first of all, like I love fantasy games, like, and that's appropriate because this is the Final Fantasy, and that's kind of an oxymoronic name because it's the Final Fantasy, but it's also the 10th one. So that's kind of like a funny thing for me, but still, anyway, I digress. The point is that being like a fantasy game and like a new console with like voice acting that was also like pretty new to like the gaming's like world at that point.
Yeah.
And then like I think it was like the perfect game to like explore a lot of those themes like racism, religion, loss, acceptance, like moving on,
Hmm.
and they did it beautifully in my opinion. Like that's like one of the reasons that I love this game like a lot.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I mean,
it's
it's a much deeper game than I think anybody at first gave it credit for. Uh,
yeah
because they didn't really have to go that far. I think that most Final Fantasies are kind of like you kind of understand what you're trying to do. You're like a warrior of light, and you're trying to destroy the evil forces. And I think that in this case, like this game is kind of. I mean, of course you're the heroes, but like at some point you also kind of have to consider what you're doing, because technically what Juna is doing, like her sacrifice, right, is the way to go. So you're kind of going like to me one of the most like I always remember this scene because I thought it was really well done in the game. The scene is what I really like, but I think it works because of the whole how they set it up through the whole game. Like you see Titus always kind of talking to Yuna and always being really cheerful and talking to her about what she's gonna do after she goes on the pilgrimage and how awesome things will be, everything that she's experiencing. Like life is awesome, right? And then he
yeah
learns, and I guess that you as a player also learn at that point. Although maybe you had some idea before Titus, but the fact that she's gonna die when she goes there, and she didn't tell you anything because she liked the fact that he was being so cheerful and so awesome to her. He kind of let her think about other things other than her basically death that was coming, right? And I think that that scene when they tell Titus and he just denies it or kind of understands how like he was such a so stupid with her, like he wasn't he didn't understand what she was
yeah.
going
Like
through.
I
Yeah,
remember that scene. Like that was a good scene. Like he's basically going like, no, no, it's impossible. That can't be. And then when he like finally accepts this, he goes like, oh man, like I've been basically being a jerk around Juna, telling her that
Yeah,
everything is gonna be awesome.
and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've never seen that scene in a Final Fantasy, right? Like it's always about we have to overcome everything, but this wasn't about overcoming anything. It was about how people feel about things. He
Mm.
like of course Aaron at the end of everything had a plan to not make her die, but if he did not have a plan, they basically the only thing that they said was, well, I guess we have to accompany her and help her as long as we can, which is such a sad concept in
Yeah,
basically every way.
Mm.
Like uh I know I feel like that's something that I've never experienced in a Final Fantasy before, and in a story, honestly, like I think it's such a powerful message, or a powerful thing to have, and I think that pretty much made that story soar like to the heights of stories that I've basically like played, right? And that's one of the reasons why I love this story or particularly this Final Fantasy so much, because I feel like they went places they didn't have to go, and we haven't even talked about the religion aspect of it.
yeah.
Mm.
But
And I
just
mean,
that part of the sad story between them and how it ends. I mean, just the endings, which is literally the definition of bittersweet. That
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
oh
think
my,
most Final
no, we
Fantasies
gotta talk
have.
about the ending a little bit later. Like we
Yeah,
have got to talk about that ending later.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Later, later.
Again, I feel like this game does things that no other Final Fantasy does, and some, and again, I'm not claiming this as 100% true. Maybe some other Final Fantasy does it, which I don't know. But this one did it, and it was the first one that did it for me, and I think
Mm.
that's why it basically remains in my head, because it's, I don't know, it's just so awesome. Like I never thought games could do that, right? That they could make me feel that way about the things that were happening, and just that whole sadness of the world in general. Like every time you go to a place and you see kind of what you're going through, and the fact that Sin is out there, he could just come and destroy everything if he wanted. I don't know. It's
yeah,
just
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think that the world and the rules that they set for their world are one of the best ones. Like I could, like you could put me in Spira and I could basically understand what everyone was going through, and basically
Yeah.
what everybody is kind of trying to do in their daily lives, and how respected summoners are, and the pilgrimage and the whole calm thing. Like it's just, I don't know, it's the world building for this game is amazing to me. Like I wish I could make something like that
Sure.
in my own games.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah,
It's
I mean
something
that's something that I
to
really like about
aspire
the game.
to.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and the character of Waka is very interesting because he, it's like his whole world shatters during the game, right? Like his
Yeah,
whole world view
that is true.
changes completely.
No, no,
So yeah.
I agree. Because he was super set. Like he was basically like a super uh how do
like a
like
like a
he
conservative person, like
super, yeah, conservative. That's the word that I was looking for. He's super conservative, like in the sense that he follows Jevon, the religion Jevon, like to
devout,
the
I
teeth.
guess.
Like, and he's super devout. He honestly believes that the pilgrimage is necessary and that it would all end when like the rest of the world atones for their
For
sins.
their sins. Yes.
Yeah, and then he finds out that the religion is a lie, and I don't know, keep in mind that this is a man who basically lost his brother fighting sin, and then
Mm.
he blames like an entire race of people, the Albed, because his brother used a machina instead of like a traditional sword, a traditional weapon. So like
Mm.
he honestly believes that it was because his brother didn't follow the teachings of Yevon that that he died.
He died.
And after years of basically letting that emotion fester in his heart, he finds out that Jevon is a lie, that it's not, it's basically one giant story, and that that's not going to be the reason that Sin ends, that unless they take an active role in Sin's destruction, Sin will always come back, and that he needs to reform and like start accepting the Albed and not blaming them for everything. Like he has a
Mm-hmm.
really interesting story arc, and that
Yeah, yeah,
that is very, very true. I mean,
and an
and like
understandable one at that. I mean,
exactly, yeah,
like you understand why he will hate like the religion says Machina is bad, right? Machina are bad or
yeah,
whatever, and then his brother dies because of something that could be related to a Machina. So he's basically validated by the religion and everything that happened, and the fact that the Albed are just so against the rules and against everything.
yeah.
Again, which they have a point for that, but it's like it's like the religion says it's bad. His brother used it and he died. So of course it's bad. And it's not only bad; it's the worst thing ever. And you understand that because it's like, of course you would think that if you were Waka's juice, you would do the same thing. And I
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
think
mean,
I think
and
it to an extent you can see it as similar to what might happen in real life,
yeah,
like when maybe you have a friend who strays from the path of God. Maybe something bad happens to him, and then you kind of
go like, see, I
maybe
told you.
become get into more into religion. That like you can see it happen in real life.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the commentary of like the Jevon religion, any comparison with any real world religion and what has happened is pure coincidental. I guarantee you,
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's purely
pure
coincidental.
coincidence.
Yeah,
But
like
I
they
think it's very interesting that we as people from sort of from the United States, from the West, we're from Puerto Rico, obviously. We're a
yeah, we're
colony, but we have a lot of influence by the US in terms of media and television and games. But this game is actually Japanese, and so it's a totally different culture. But we sort of we we just jump into it, and
and we can relate.
it,
It's
it yeah, we can completely relate, and it's 100% understandable,
yeah.
right? Like, so I think that's another interesting aspect, right? Like,
like
I
no,
mean,
no, it is. I
yeah,
mean, it's really cool that we that something from like a completely different culture. Like it's just like the topics. I honestly think that the topics that they shows is something that is relatable on a global scale. Like
yeah, yeah,
anybody, no matter what your country, what your ethnicity, what your religion is, like you can parallel it to something that's happening in the real world and something that well you can understand it and you can relate to it. And like that is something that like Final Fantasy X did amazingly. It's a really, really well made game, a really well told story. And like that's
yeah,
another thing, like researching this game, like because it's not. I didn't just when you told us that we were making a podcast about it, and I didn't want to just like be, hey, this is what I remember of it, which is honestly what we're doing right now. But also like trying to find some fun facts. And like one of the things that I found was that this is one of the first Final Fantasy. It's a really linear story,
yeah,
and
mm,
that's one of the first times that it's been done in a Final Fantasy game. And by that I mean that when you play the game, you see the map, and the map is literally a straight line. Like you go forward all of the time. You do not explore. You can see the world, but you're not gonna explore it like you do in Skyrim or in Elder Scroll games, where you're like free to roam around. Like no, you have like a set road,
mm,
and basically the focus wasn't the world; it was the characters. It's a very character-driven story,
yeah,
and that makes it a lot more relatable because like since you spend so much time with these characters, you basically get to know them. You level them up literally, and like it gives you like a different understanding of like their world and of what's going on and how are they feeling and what are they going to do and like how are they going to deal with X, Y, or Z problem that they're facing with.
Yeah.
And you see them like grow, like you see them progress and see their character stories like from beginning to end. And like that is, if a game, if not even a game, if a story manages to do that, to invest me into the characters, into what's going on with them, even if they do it with just one character, I am satisfied. I am happy. And they did it with like an ensemble cast of, I don't know, like 7, 8 characters of main roster characters, and then secondary characters too.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's a really good game.
I think it's something that people miss about the game sometimes, and I really enjoy this fact because it's something that I didn't understand at first, and then I was like, oh wow, like this is just way more awesome than I thought. So
Yeah.
the backstory of this game is that there's a war between Sanarkand and Bevel, right? And Bevel is using Machina, and Sanarkand
What's the Machina? Yeah, that was
You
kind of
summoners,
like,
yeah.
is the one with the summoners. The whole reason why everything happened or everything is going on is because Jevon, or Jevon, I guess, at that point, who was basically like the highest summoner of Sanarkand, decided that the way to beat Bevel was to basically create a summon or an Aeon that was so big and so powerful that he would destroy Bevel and basically just win the war. The problem was that or I guess the problem for us, but not the problem for Jevon, I guess, was that he will have to sacrifice everybody. At least everybody that lives in Samarkand will have to basically start dreaming, or I guess using their power or their minds to help him build this Aeon or summon, who then became Sin, right? Sin then destroys Bebel and basically wins the war, and basically it makes them for eternity, for the whole of eternity, or that was the point, right? Makes them, it's like the like when you want revenge against somebody and then you just kind of go a little bit too far. They basically
a little bit.
like his revenge to them was, you will follow my religion now. You will always see Sin, who is basically what I created, killing everybody that you love, and you have to basically follow everything that I say, and what I say is the like the rule now. And Machina, the thing that you were using, is forbidden. That's why, because I always remember that when you went to Bebel the first time, everybody talked about the fact that there were a lot of Machina in Bebel. Like everything, like they had elevators, like they had a lot of things that worked with Machina.
Yeah, the temple in Bebel where Bahamut is just really highly mechanized. Like it's the one that
and
it looks like a giant machine, basically.
Yeah, and I think I missed that at first because I was like, oh well, I guess they're just being hypocrites, right? Like they're just like, oh yeah, we don't like Machina, but we use it, which is also a thing that happens, right? But I think I also really enjoyed. I just love how, because you said, right, you were saying, Jorge, that the game wasn't like they were concentrating on the characters, but I think that's really interesting because I think that they treated every single place that you went to as a character too, and that's what you have to do when you want to create a really awesome story or a really awesome world. That you have to give not only the characters layers, but also the places you go or the world that you go, those layers too. And the fact that
I mean,
what were you gonna say, Christian?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I agree. I mean, I think that, well, that's what makes this game so awesome, is that it was strong in many aspects, right?
Yeah, and again, it's just the fact that they basically give you those hints and you kind of understand like something's wrong here, like things are not the same, and then if you read about it, and I think that in the game they kind of say it, but I don't think they say it outright. Like it's always for your interpretation, because I don't think from the game you get that info, like the fact that Sarankan won and Bevel kind of went for everything that they said. I'm pretty sure that it says it, but I don't think it's like so in your face that yes, this would happen. Right?
I think there's an old guy that told stories.
Yeah, but
on the video that Jorge told me that you might miss him.
No, but the stories themselves are not necessarily like so. Like okay, so this is the like a sequence of events that happen, and this was going on. Like he's just telling stories, and you have to kind of interpret what happened from
a lot of things together.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's kind of hard when you're playing like an RPG game, because like when you run into the guy and he tells you a story, like you don't see him again until like maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 hours later. Like in your game, or however long you're playing the game before you progress to the next part. So like there's a lot of stuff that you kind of forget.
No, and again,
or that you don't think it's actually super important.
Yeah,
because again, like
I think it's that because
the thing with RPGs, because the thing with RPGs is that they make detailed worlds, but not every detail is super important to the story. So like you don't know like what is like until you finish the game and you know what the entire story is. You can't tell like, hey man, this is a really important detail that I should remember.
And again,
so it's not until you do a second playthrough that you like put that in mind.
Yeah, and again, I think you have an excuse for that because you're so invested in the characters that you're like you just want to see what happens to them, and then there's this guy just kind of exposing things, but like you don't know, like you said, like you don't know what to like you. He's so like a side character that you don't feel like it's part of the story per se, so you won't.
Yeah, you might not want to.
Yeah.
Even talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah, I definitely. I mean, I played the game more than once, like at least 2 times.
Yeah.
So I mean, I definitely heard him say that, but I mean, maybe on the first try, I was like, screw this and skip it or something.
Well, I missed it. I missed it when I played it, and when I learned that, when I actually like started reading about it, and I like it made the game that I liked. I started to love it basically. Because I was like,
all right,
damn,
took it to the next level.
And now that you told us about like making the places that you go like also kind of character-y.
Yeah.
The music. Oh my god, the music.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still have it in my phone. The music from the game.
Yeah, I hear it regularly.
I remember you were like when we were kids, you were actually trying to learn how to play Final Fantasy X songs on the piano. I guess still remember you telling us about that.
I played a few.
Yeah, like I gotta learn a couple because, like, for example, like my 2 favorite songs are the Besaid Island song. And I'm just sad that it's so early in the game because like it's super mellow, it's like super peaceful, like it's exactly the type of song that you would expect for like an island, like a beach dwelling community to have.
Yeah.
And
all right.
And I don't know, I like again since I love the ocean and I love surfing and all that stuff, like it just when I listen to that song, like it kind of like super mellows me out and like makes me wish that I'm in the beach or something like that. And the other one that I really like is the Kilika song, and that is just like a pure like acoustic guitar thing.
Yeah.
And
you keep talking.
I gotta learn how to play that.
You keep talking, and honestly, like it's just there's so many damn lyrics to this game. Honestly, like because I again, I love the music too. I honestly believe this is the Final Fantasy with the best songs. I know that's gonna be controversial for many people, but I personally really like the songs in this game, particularly over everything else, because I honestly kind of like every single song except a few. Like I love To Samarkand, like the first song you hear.
Oh, dude, that is such a sad sad song, but
Yeah,
it's so
and again,
beautiful.
at first you kind of say, "Oh, that's an interesting song, an interesting song." But when you play the game and then you get to that scene, it's the first scene in the game.
Yeah,
Like not the
Yeah,
first scene in the game, but the scene
the
that
yeah, the
plays.
opening
Yeah,
when like Tidus puts his hand on like Yuna's shoulder and
yeah. He
then
says, "This is my
hmm
just
story" and
listen
all
to my
that.
story. But
Like
yeah.
then
So
you play the entire game
it
and you get to
clarifies
that
the.
scene. Yeah, exactly. You play the entire game and you get to that scene after you've been through so much, and like when you see it first,
I'm
it's
getting
like, oh, okay,
goosebumps,
it's an intro.
honestly.
And then you get to the end of the game or like too close to the end when you get to Saturn and you've already played and been through so much with those characters, and then like that song hits you and it's like, oh man,
Yeah, like you understand
like
why it's so sad, and you understand why, like the name of the
Square,
game,
why are
to
you doing this to
Sanarkand,
me?
like everything fits, and that's just that one song. But like I love the fighting theme. I really love that.
Yeah,
There's something about the fighting that I have to say that again, it's just the damn layers, man. Like they're just so awesome. But that
Mhm.
song, like the boss theme, like the first theme that you fight, like the when you're trying to leave Samarkand at the beginning, the
yeah.
Seymour
Oh my
fights
god,
are amazing.
the Ramstein song. That song is so badass.
Yeah, also that
Yeah.
song. Again, I could just keep saying. I mean, there's a song called. Oh damn! I had it in my head, and just as I was supposed to say it, I forgot it. But the point is that it's a really sad melody, and that's the song that plays sometimes when you're talking about sad things. I think that's one of the saddest songs I've heard, and I think it's so perfect for the atmosphere of the situation. The Besaid Island song is awesome, as you said, Jorge. Basically, Kilika is also awesome too. I again, if keep talking about this specific thing, right, I could keep going. But okay, so there is some again, and this is how part. Damn. Okay, so it's just that there's so many things.
Well, I mean, you did say we were gonna fanboy out about the game, and we are
Yeah, and again,
fanboying out.
this really like
So
this fanboying, like just going all out. So there's a song in the game that you hear over and over, and
Mhm.
honestly, it's not like one of the songs that you necessarily like or is super interesting, but it's the hymn of the faith, right?
the hymn of the. I was gonna talk
Oh
about
yeah,
the hymn of the
Yeah,
faith.
and I always
Yeah.
remember
So
that it was always like, oh, okay, so I guess this is like the like some type of yeah, like song from this religion and stuff like that. As you progress in the game, you learn that Jecht, who is the father of Titus, right, and basically sin right now because of the story of the game. For those of you who don't understand that, you have to basically play the game or read it because we will have to get into all the logistics of
that
that.
that
Yeah,
that's a different podcast for a different
yeah.
day.
But okay, so and again, this scene when again there's many scenes that gave me goosebumps when I played the game. But you learn that Jack likes the Hymn of the Faith. And that's one of
Yeah,
his favorite songs, which doesn't make any sense because of who he is, but that's also what makes it so interesting and makes Jack somebody that you don't really meet in the game interesting from just hearing about him. But anyway, he is seen now, right? So the way they lure him to a place where they can beat him at the end of the game is that everybody starts singing the Hymn of the Faith.
oh yeah,
And that is just like that's how you make a song and just something that you don't think has anything really is gonna have any meaningful impact in the story have such as like a big role to play and that like the scene is so amazing, like everybody's singing, everybody is basically calling him out, and he goes there because it reminds him of when he was normal, like he wasn't sin. And
mm,
and the fact that he has like he remembers that and he hears it and he likes it so much, which is such a human feeling to have, like something that shouldn't be that important is really important to that person, and him being able to kind of overpower sin to go where the sound is, to hear it because he likes to enjoy it. and just how everything came together for that to happen, and the understanding that they're kind of doing that, and they're gonna defeat Sin and Jack, and all the baggage that comes with that. Again, it's just giving the songs character to. You see, like layers to, and
Mm.
treating every single thing as its own character, man, and it's a character driven story because everything is a damn character. like it's just, again, I was talking about it. Honestly, yeah, I get the goosebumps again because it's just so well put together. Like that's art to me. Like that transcends just being a game. It's many things coming together and creating art in your eyes, and for you to experience. I don't know, like that thing. Again, many things, but that scene particularly was like so enjoyable to watch. Like, damn, you were able to put all of this together. And
Dude, and like when you actually fight Jet, like when he says that he can barely hear the song anymore,
yeah,
like
damn.
that just hits you. Like that's a gut punch to your emotions right there.
Yeah.
Because he's a sad character. But before I get into that, like you, Christian, you were gonna say something about the Hymn of the Faith. Like,
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is that, so I used to obviously listen to his music a lot. I tended to kind of skip over the Hymn of the Faith, but lately I've been kind of listening to it and appreciating it more, and just listening to the different versions, because in each temple there's a different version of the Hymn of the Faith.
That is very cool.
I mean, I think that's another interesting aspect, because it's just like, man, they just did so much, right? Just they added so many little details to this game.
Yeah.
Like, just even that song, you have the Ronso version, you have all the different temples. It was, so that's another.
Yeah. I have like a little fun fact about that Hymn of the Faith, actually. While I was researching the game, and I'm not too sure how true this fact is, but supposedly the Hymn of the Faith is actually a war song from Sanarkand. Like that is basically a song that they used to sing when they were in war with the Vel.
That's probably true.
And then after like the whole war ended and whatnot, and then Yevon, the religion started. Like Yevon, the religion, took the song because like it was a song in defiance of the Vel, and then people were still singing it, and then like the way that they managed to deal with it, instead of like forbidding it or whatever, they go like, well, that is gonna be our new hymn now. That is gonna be our new hallelujah, you know, like.
Yeah.
And that is a very cool fact. Now that I when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty freaking neat.
Talk about
that is something that actually would happen in real life.
No, yeah, and again, talk about adding insult to injury. Like, not only did I make you follow everything that I feel like you have to follow, you have to sing my song every single time.
Yeah.
But also like. And again, it's as you said, Christian, like the attention to detail is just so amazing, because like at the very first, like when you start with Titus and he kind of has to go to the game, he's late to the Blitzball game. There are some fans outside, and he signs their Blitzball, right? And then they do the good luck,
Oh, the victory sign, yeah.
The good luck pose or whatever, which is the whole making a ball thing and bowing.
And bowing,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to the real world, you see that that's basically the sign for go with God or go with Javon or whatever from their religion. And it's like they give you so many hints about the fact that Sanarkand has control over everything, really, in the end. Like, Sanarkand is the bad guy. I mean, not Sanarkand itself, because it's Javon, of course, but, like, Sanarkand is not as destroyed as as you think.
As you think.
Like they won. They literally won. Like they're the ones that won the war, and they just kind of went crazy. And again, they literally went crazy and kind of became fiends themselves because they were just they went too far with their revenge. And I don't know, like that little thing is just so awesome. Like that they thought of even that. Like everything in the religion has to do with Sanarkand and stuff that Sanarkand loved. Sanarkand loved Blitzball, so of course the religion is basically based on many things that have to do with Blitzball. Like
Yeah, and like literally the only machina that's not forbidden is the Blitzball Stadium in
yeah,
Luca. Like that's the only one that
exactly.
they technically allow.
Yeah.
And yeah, can we talk about Jet for a second?
Sure.
I really 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 like Jet a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Like
Me too, honestly.
he first of all, his character design to me is just awesome.
Yeah.
Like he looks cool,
And different.
and he also has and
True.
different, and he has like a very unique storyline where he's basically an alcoholic father that
Yes.
terrorizes Tidus and like belittles him and be like, "Yeah, you're not gonna be good enough, kid. Like, no, that's my shot. Just remember that." And then
Baby.
yeah, you cry, baby. And then he transport him to like Spira. He sobers up. He meets Oren. He meets Braska. He gets so drunk one night that he actually tries to fight a shoe puff, and yeah, and that is his rock bottom. And let me tell you, considering how many like rock bottoms there are in the world, like how dark it is, the fact that you fight a shoe puff and that is your okay, I gotta get sober.
Yeah,
You
I
got
thought it
off
was kind of
pretty.
weird, right?
You got off pretty easily, dude. But still, like,
True.
but still, like, and then like he to me, Jed isn't a villain. He is an
No.
unofficial hero.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, true.
and
He was a legend.
and like and if some of the listeners don't agree with me, fight me. I will defend Jed forever. And hear me out. The thing is that he wants to go back home, right? He wants to go back home, but during his journey, they found out the truth that there has to be like a final Aeon, and then the final Aeon will have to be like one of the guys in Braska's party, and then that would kill Braska in the process. And Jet basically he sacrifices himself. He goes like, you know what? I'm not gonna get to go home.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah,
That is
true.
true. So if I'm not gonna get to go home, this is a foreign world for me. Let me go out doing something noble. And he becomes the final Aeon. And side note, that final Aeon form of Jet is ridiculously.
Okay. Sorry.
It looks wickedly cool. It looks badass
Super
as
awesome.
hell, and he gets the Ramstein song from the beginning to his fight, which is another bonus point. But again, I digress. He becomes the final Aeon. He sacrifices himself, and in the process, he becomes Sin.
Yeah.
So it to me it's super sad that he is willing to go this far for people that he doesn't know, and that he actually does care for his son because he tasks Oren with like looking after Tidus. Like if he honestly didn't, he was a weird parent. Like he belittled Tidus, and that was wrong. But that was the only way that he knew how to make Tidus a better man. So like his way of acting like a fool was basically to make Tidus a good person. And when you think about it, it actually worked because
True. I mean,
Tidus is actually a pretty good dude. I mean,
yeah, he was
people
he was a Blitz star.
Yeah.
he was a Blitz
and
star. People say that he's annoying and childish, but I will defend Tidus in a second. Let me finish with Jet. Um, yeah, and like again, when you actually do meet him in like in his normal regular form inside of Sin, and he says that he can barely hear the hymn of the faith anymore, and like man, it hits you hard.
Yeah, he's dying.
And
Like he's literally slowly dying inside Sin.
Yeah,
Uh,
like exactly. And you know what? He basically he's willing to die again. He died once, becoming the final Aeon, and he's willing to die again as Sin.
yeah.
And to me, he's the actual final boss of the game, not you, Yevon, the Aeon Jet. Because to me, when I first played the game, oh my god, he just whooped me left and right. He beat me. I had to grind for maybe like 40 more hours before I could actually face him in battle. But I mean, he had one of the most, considering that you only saw Jet through like the spheres and stories that Tidus made and Yuna made and stuff like that. Like to me, he's one of the most important and strongest characters of the entire game, and I love Jet.
No, I mean
And
he's literally, to me, he's the hero of the game. Like he's the one that came up with the plan to end it all
yeah,
with Aaron, of course. But like Aaron was like his helper, but the one that came up with the idea of this is how we can defeat everything was Jacked. Because
Yeah.
he didn't want Juna to go through the same thing that her father went through. And I think oh, okay, so let's be straight for a moment with Jack. He was a bad father at first.
yeah, no, yeah,
He
was,
did
but
care for Titus, but he just didn't know how to properly.
exactly. That's my argument. I'm not saying
Yeah.
he was a good father. I'm saying that's the only way he knew how to do it.
Yeah.
And
When he comes to Spira, I think that's where he actually becomes the father he was supposed to be, and I think that he becomes that way because of Yuna. I think the idea is that when he met Yuna and he saw what Braska was gonna be sacrificing for, like, he was basically sacrificing being with her, being with Yuna, to save the world, basically, right? And the fact that he missed Titus so much, and the fact that he couldn't go home, like, all of that turned Jack into the best version of himself that he could be. And I think that's interesting because it's through Yuna and through Braska and through Aaron to some extent that he becomes the hero, the completely unlikely hero of the whole thing. Because
yeah,
if you think about it, if he wasn't Sin, none of the things none of the plans that the main cast of characters had will have worked, and things will be the same. Like Yuna will have died, and everything will have gone kind of the same way. It's the fact that Jack was Sin, and the fact that Jack has so much willpower, and the fact that he was so headstrong that made him able
yeah,
to kind of overpower Sin in a way, or overpower Javon in a way, and plan it out with Aaron to destroy himself, to kill himself. And he knew the one person that wanted to take him out more than anyone else, his son. And
yeah.
that's kind of why he brought Titus. I mean, apart from the fact that I'm pretty sure that he knew that Yuna and Titus would kind of hit it off. But
So not only was he the hero, he was like his song wingman.
yeah, like I think that he wanted to give his son not just what he couldn't give him in, like, when he was with him as a father, but just closure in every single way. Like just the idea of you are your own man, I'm proud of you, and this a weird way to do it because I'm this really grotesque Aeon thing, but I'm still your father, and I love you. And again, it's just the same thing, like the sadness thing. Like that's that's a tragedy, right? Like such a tragic story for basically everybody involved. And once you talk about Titus, I want to talk about Yuna because I think we're kind of leaving her like to the wayside, and I think after Aaron, she is my second favorite character because if there's somebody strong in that
Oh yeah,
world, is Yuna. Like
yeah.
honestly,
Actually,
yeah.
honestly, I think the game, like you know that there's usually only one protagonist per Final Fantasy game, and that's the guy in the cover. Like
Yeah.
Cloud is visibly the only guy in the cover of Final Fantasy VII. And then Tidus is prominently in the one for Final Fantasy VII. But like, I honestly think that there are two protagonists, and that then Yuna is the second protagonist, and that she has her own story arc, and then she has her own villain, which is Seymour. And
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I really, really, really do enjoy Yuna. I mean, she's the white mage, and if you guys see Dragon Ball Abridged, to quote the great Dende, you do not mess with the white mage. That is your most important character. To the point where when the first time that I played the game, when Yuna like goes off to marry Seymour and Bevel, and you're left without a white mage, I wasn't expecting that, and I didn't
Oh yeah.
like train. I didn't train any of my other characters in healing magic,
And you had to
and
have
I just
potions.
yeah, oh my god, dude, I
Beautiful
had to have potions. I had to like grind to like, I had to use like the sphere grid, and we're gonna talk about that for like 5 minutes because like I need to talk about the sphere grid, but um, I had to like use one of my teleport spheres or friend spheres. I don't remember which one was it to like go to Yuna's grid and then at least get cure because I needed some healing magic for the playthrough.
Yeah, I always saw her more as the summoner per se, but yeah, of course she was the white mage. But again, interesting fact about that, like, which is just interesting, like just so different. Like when you go save her from the marriage, she saves herself. like
Pretty
like
much.
True.
like she's
Yeah,
like,
she saves them
sure,
too in
thank
the
you for coming, but
process.
I had a plan already, and I was gonna get away from this. Uh, and again, it's just like just the willpower to say I'm gonna be a summoner in that world. That says
No, yeah,
everything that you have to say about that character. Like she's the strong
pretty much.
one there, and of course she needs support because everybody kind of feels bad for her. But and again, there's just so many layers. Like Titus is like she needed Titus because everybody was treating her like that. You're gonna die, so we're so sad for you. And he was the only one who was like just making fun and
And
just
yeah,
having
what are your
fun.
plans after this? And like, what are we gonna do after this? Yeah,
Yeah, like her, like if she was just a
like this
normal
wasn't the end.
girl,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, like she felt normal with him, and that's so interesting. Like I don't know,
yeah.
it's just again, she feels normal when she's actually like the strongest, most unmarble person there, and
So much so that she actually got the sequel game to herself.
yeah, yeah. To
That is
me,
really
she's actually like the main character of the story. Of course, Titus is the main character because of Sin, right? Because Sin is the one they want to destroy, and he's Jacked. But honestly, Yuna is basically the one that's going through everything. She's the one that has to sacrifice everything. Titus is kind of when he gets into the story, he doesn't know what the hell to do. Honestly, like if Aaron wasn't there, he wouldn't know what
yeah.
was going on. uh,
True.
So like you could argue that this is actually Yuna's story, and then Titus is like her secondary like protagonist to her
Again,
story.
he's a protagonist for because of the circumstances.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that everything around him apparently has to do with Samarkand, and he is from Samarkand, and everything around him has to do with his father and his
Father is Sin.
second father figure, Aaron, because Aaron kind of became his father figure after Jack was gone, and it's like again to me she's basically the main character because the world kind of revolves around what she's doing and everything that she's doing. But of course, the ones that kind of bring the change are Titus and Aaron, and Titus being like the what fuels everything. Uh, but yeah, like before you talk about the sphere grid because that's also an interesting thing. I also wanted to talk about the fighting system, like the way you fight in the game. I think
Yes.
this is the first Final Fantasy where you can swap characters in like the same fight.
Mid fight. Yeah, dude, that is one of my favorite things about this game. Actually,
I love that because again, to further, they treated that as its own character. They said in other Final Fantasies, there's no explanation as to why you can only choose 3 of them and then fight the whole way with them and then kind of change them whenever you want after the fights or stuff like that. in this case, they wanted to give you the sense that you are traveling as a group. You are all necessary to be able to overcome everything that's ahead of you. And that feeling of you are all necessary for this just makes you understand what, first of all, why they're traveling together, why they feel like they need each other, and just a sense of camaraderie that I don't like. I think it's almost lost in other Final Fantasies because you don't, or other games, because you kind of feel attached to the ones that you like the ones that you use in your party. But you were forced to use everybody, at least for the beginning part of the game, of course, because eventually you could just make everybody into the ultimate weapon
Yeah.
master of
Yeah,
everything
I was just
fighter.
hitting them with the staff and
Yeah, and
killing everybody.
yeah, but at first you and what the game probably wanted you to do as the story goes, right? You feel that connection to every single character. You know why everyone is important and when to swap for someone, and when that person is particularly good against things. And
Yeah.
I think the fact that they did that, that's probably just a mechanic choice, but I also think that the story was involved a bit because they wanted to prove to you that they're all in this together and they're all necessary. And not only the story really bring that like hits you in the head with it, but the gameplay like makes it that more apparent and that more like it helps the story, which is something that good games do. Good games make the mechanics help the story, and also kind of tell the story too. What the mechanics are basically telling you, they're all necessary and they're all in here for a reason, and that's why you get attached to everybody. And I guess that's why you kind of don't get that much attached to Himari for some people, because
Yeah.
being the blue mage, he doesn't really have that much of an identity in the sense
Yeah,
of who he is and how he fits in everything.
Yeah, we can sort of segue into the sphere grid with Kimari or something, because
yeah,
he was
yeah,
sort of in the middle. He was sort of in the middle, and you could take a different paths. Like you could teach him black magic, or you could put him up with
exactly.
Auron.
And that's my
But
point. Like
yeah.
that the fact that he was so like, you choose whatever you want to do with him. Uh, at least in the version that we played, because I think there's a new version that you can choose to start the sphere grid whatever you want with any one of them. Like you can make any one of them the white mage at first. But
Oh, that's cool.
but the point is that the fact that the mechanics of the game didn't give Kimari like that much of an identity is what made him, I think, one of the characters that most people didn't relate that much to. Which goes to show
True.
how much the mechanics also affected the
Influence.
story and the characters themselves. But yeah, the sphere grid, like the fact that sphere grid kind of fomented that too, like made that a thing, also affected the characters. But
Yeah. So the thing about him was, to me, that because you sort of put him on a path that was somebody else's path, he was always gonna be a little bit behind that other
yeah,
character.
yeah,
So
exactly.
so that kind of gave him a disadvantage there.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you chose not to use the other character and just Kimari and level Kimari up, and then
True, that type of thing.
I mean
But that's the
that's
thing,
the thing. Like
you were
you
kind of forced to use everybody at first because of
at
the
some
fact
point,
that
yeah,
everybody
but
was good against a specific weakness. He wasn't good
yeah,
against anything, basically.
Mhm.
and basically his limit breaker was, or his overdrive for this game. It was basically to absorb the overdrives of other like fiends and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
he's
Yeah.
the blue mage, and they're used very well in other games, but I don't think in this game they particularly made that good. But anyway, what are you gonna say about the sphere grid, Jorge? Because I'm interested.
okay, like before I jump to this frigate, because we talked about like the battle mechanics. One thing that I okay, so we all played the game when we were kids, and this is something that I honestly didn't think about, or maybe it wasn't on like the PS2 version. I'm saying this because I also bought like the remaster HD collection for PS3.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're in a fight, right? You see that like on your top left or like top right corner, there's like a list going down, and it shows like
Mhm.
which character goes next and which turn.
Yep.
And depending on which action you use, like that order changes.
Yeah.
And like one of the things, and what I honestly didn't think about it like when I was a kid, but when I played it again for the PS3, oh my god, I exploited that so much. Like
Yeah, that's
I
true.
I,
I
I
also, when I was older, I got that too.
yeah,
True.
like and then like I would spam Heistaga with Titus and
Yep.
Sloga. So like 4 or 5 turns into a fight, you would only see me going for like 30 turns in a row before like the bad guy even got a chance to hit me. And like that is basically how I grinded with like all of my characters. I would basically spam haste with all my characters, so they would have like 3 turns in a row, and then like as soon as the bad guy had a turn, slow, screw you, no, you're not going, I'm going again. Aha! And
Yeah, like
that's
that.
basically
Yeah.
what I did, and like that is. I am so sad that when I heard that Final Fantasy won't be making turn-based fighting again. Um, I hope that's not true. I hope they make like at least, even if it's a handheld, please make another turn-based fighting,
They,
because
they, they, they will. They will, because there's an audience
I
for
love
it
that.
still. So like I'm pretty sure that if they don't, somebody else will. So like
Yeah, I
it
mean,
won't go away anytime soon. So yeah.
don't get me wrong. Like action based, like Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, it's pretty cool. But like to me, that is the staple of Final Fantasy, like the turn-based fighting system. So okay, before I forget, oh, I wanted to defend Titus or Titus, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's status supposedly, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for
Yeah,
that, man. Because he has a bad
exactly,
reputation that is
exactly.
unfair. It is unfair.
Okay, thank you for agreeing with me that his reputation is unfair. Like a lot of people hate him. A lot of people go like, "Oh, but he's a whiny little kid," and oh, shut up. Listen to me. Titus is super essential to this story, and not just because he's the main character, but listen, hear me out. So Spira is a very contradictory world, and what I mean by that is when you go to it, there's a lot of bright colors. There's like a lot of it looks gorgeous. It just
Beautiful.
looks
Yeah.
it looks
Yeah.
gorgeous. It looks like alive. It looks vibrant. However, it is a really dark world. Like because literally every 10 years, Saint comes, wrecks everything up, gets killed, and then by the time that they're finished rebuilding, Saint comes again and destroys everything again. So there's a lot of death in this world. Like there's a lot of like somber tones in this world. Like everyone is like they're afraid to like dream about the future because for all they know, like they only have like maybe 3 years, like however long the calm lasts before Sin gets destroys everything again. Then you throw in Titus in the mix. Titus is not from this world. Titus is from Dream Sanarkand.
Yeah.
So he has no idea what sin is. He has no idea why everyone is depressed, and he is the most jovial guy out there. Like he takes Waka, who basically whose blitzball like motto was "Let's do our best," and Titus goes like, "Nah, we're not having that. Our new motto is victory. We're gonna win. Shut up. We're gonna win."
Yeah.
You know, like, and he pumps the entire team up to where if you know how to play blitzball well, you won the trophy. You won the World Cup. He takes Yuna, who was basically depressed as well, not depressed, but I mean she knew that she was gonna die.
I mean, she is
And
kind of
yes,
depressed,
that
honestly.
make yeah, she is, but not to the point where like she can't move and like doesn't want to get out of bed. Like that is a freaking strong woman, man. So and he makes her feel normal.
Yeah.
He makes her feel like there is hope in this world. While everyone else in Spira resigned themselves to be like, well, we're gonna do the pilgrimage, we're gonna kill Sin, we're gonna have maybe 5, 10 years of calm. Titus went like, you know what? Nah, we're ending this. We're winning. We victory. So he is precisely the hero that this world needed. He is the exact type of character that this world needed. And the only way that you can make that is if you make him like, if you give him like that childish naivete or like innocence that yes, there is hope. Like yes, we can win. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't have to be the way. He questioned everything, and
Yes.
he had an excuse to question everything because he wasn't of that world. So like there was no reason for him to accept the way that Yevon behaved. There was no reason for him to accept that the Albed were the bad guys. So like, and that is what you need to bring change. You need to question everything. You need to like find different solutions, different viewpoints. So man, people that don't like Titus, fight me. He is awesome. Also, he has a cool sword. I like his sword. It's a basically
Definitely
a giant. It's a fish hook. How do you make a fish
one
hook
of the
look
best
cool?
cards too.
Yeah, he had
What
one of the best art. He's on the beach with like his sword, man. And I mean,
on the
how do
beach?
you make a fish hook a cool weapon? I don't know, but Titus made it a cool weapon.
I mean, it's
I
kind of
I
a
I
modified
like
fish
him.
hook, but yeah.
I mean, I like him. That's all I'm trying to say. So like,
No,
he has a
yeah.
bad reputation for some reason,
No, I
and
agree. I think the bad reputation comes from certain scenes and certain like things he says and maybe his interpretation in the voice acting. I honestly don't have
yeah,
that much of a problem with it, but people do. But to me, like Titus, like the world, yeah, the world needed him, of course, because of the whole scene thing and stuff like that. But I think that Yuna needed him. Like Yuna
yeah,
and the group. Honestly, everybody in the group needed him because he was not he was basically what kept them going. Like to me, he was the battery of the like their battery and their glue basically because
yeah,
he like they were all so sad about what was going to happen that you don't know if at any point one of them was going to say like stop Yuna, don't do this, or Yuna herself will be so depressed that she will stop doing it and then be disgraced and stuff like that because that's not a good thing for summoners. Titus was the only thing that kept them going and thinking like he was so like energetic that he kind of became like that thing that they needed to keep going, like that they feed it off his energy.
yeah,
And I think that just that like he was essential for them to keep going as a group and as a and to complete the pilgrimage, honestly. I mean, of course Aaron had a lot to do with that as well, to keep Titus there, but he was to me
yeah. But like,
yeah,
like you said, Titus was the glue of that team. So like,
yeah,
literally, he had interactions with like every character, and like what I mean by that is like he had a relationship with Oren prior to the start of
yes,
the game,
exactly,
and
yeah,
that's how Oren joined the game. He met Riku before everyone else, and that's how like Riku's, even though she's Yuna's cousin, that's how she joined the game. Like he met Waka, and then like he and through Waka is how he met like Yuna, Kimari, and Lulu.
yeah.
So it's like you said, like he is basically the catalyst for everything in this game.
And
And
everything, yeah,
yeah,
like again, just in that sense of how they interact, and of course the world with Sin and Jekt, like, and of course you could say that well, that's how the game was made, and he was supposed to be the one that beats his dad, of course. But again, I think is what makes him interesting to me. I don't think he's the best character, of course, but I think that he's a really
no, of course not.
interesting one
Waka
at
is the best
that.
character.
Yeah, like I think he's an interesting one at that because of what he does besides being the hero, right? Like he's the
Yeah,
hero in many other ways that are not just I'm really awesome at fighting. Because honestly, when you go through the story, he's not actually that good at fighting. Like the first thing that you see of Titus is Aaron giving him the weapon, and he just kind of falling with it to the ground because he just doesn't know how to fight. So he's not even a fighter. He's that's not the best thing that he does. What he does is being really cheerful and really like yeah, like an optimist about things.
yeah.
And
They basically gave him the old anime characteristic of we can do everything through willpower and
yeah,
by
yeah,
being
but
positive.
but not even
But
in
it
the
worked. It worked. It actually
yeah,
worked. It wasn't like super cheesy or corny. Like yes,
exactly,
there are
exactly, yeah,
cheesy moments and corny moments, but that's
which are
so with
needed.
freaking
Again,
every
I've
story.
you have to understand they're still kind of kids. Like they're really
That is true.
young.
I mean, that's the other thing with like Japanese thing. Like they say they're kids, but they look like they're 24, 25
and
year olds.
honestly, like I don't know who the people that say that what Yuna and Tails do are childish things. If you've never been in a relationship, you do that kind of thing, that kind of stuff with your significant other. In there, like anything goes. Like you're just so free to do whatever that honestly stuff like that could potentially happen. And it's just flirting and just having fun with the other person without thinking about everybody else thinks. Like when Titus starts laughing, which is like a specific scene that everybody kind of hates for some reason. Again, he's just being really comfortable with her and just making him seem really weird so that she doesn't feel as weird. And I think that's a hero. That's a guy you want to like support, right? And
Relationship advice from Final Fantasy X. See, that's how you make. That's how you make a great game.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like there are many things about the game where their relationship is a really healthy one. Honestly, like it's even healthier than many other games. We kind of alluded to this in the beginning because right, this game is kind of tragic, right, in many ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what, like, to me, what sealed the deal for this game and made it one of my top Final Fantasies was the fact that at the end, and I know that many people kind of understood the gravity of the situation at that moment. Like, not many people understood that he was gonna basically die. Because I've seen people that kind of, like, they told me, like, they at that point they didn't understand why he was disappearing, and then they kind of, like, everything came together in their heads and they were like, no, like no, I don't want this to happen. Like, I think that not even like for that, I think is like more powerful. But even for me, when I watched it, I was like, damn, like I don't feel like I won, right? like we destroyed everything, we did everything, and they're not gonna end up together like in every other single story. And them winning means that he has to go. And not only him, but Aaron too, which also was really sad to me. But like I don't know. I think it's a bold choice because not many Final Fantasies or games go for that tragic route. And the fact that this game didn't have to do that, they could have just ended with and somehow Tidus was able to remain himself, and he was the only remaining thing about the old Sanarkand. Hooray! Everybody's happy. Nope. They really just said, no, man. There are rules to this world, and he is bound by them, and that's going to happen. And just before people start saying, well, in the sequel, no. That's
we're not
the
talking about the sequel.
Stupid, okay, in that sense.
And anyway, it's a secret ending. I never got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway,
but it supposedly is canon. So I'm just trying to.
The thing is, if you don't get the perfect ending, if you get the sad ending in 10-2, where Yuna like goes to the far plane, Tidus is still dead, that is a much better ending, in my opinion. Because that actually cements Yuna as like the most badass character ever. That she can actually move on and keep going without Tidus, and it makes more sense, and it's more beautiful than actually Tidus coming back to life. But anyway, sorry that I cut you off.
No, I mean
that was kind of a different podcast.
That was kind of what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, I don't really like X2 that much, but in terms of just the whole game, like I don't think it was necessary, but. Like I think this is the perfect ending to this game. Like they won, but they lost, and Yuna kind of became. She grew up with Tidus, right? Like she had that taste of normality that she is now going to be able to experience, because before she was gonna die, and that was it. That was the only moment she was gonna have a boyfriend or have like just that normal stuff that people do. and now she's able to kind of move on with her life thanks to him, right? Thanks to everything that they did and he in particular. And I don't know, it's just, I think it's just perfect. I honestly believe that if they made a movie of any Final Fantasy, this will be the Final Fantasy that they should choose, because it will kind of be, and I know it's gonna sound stupid, but kind of like the Titanic of this of video game
Well, I
movies.
think it's a good point that it is the Titanic of video games, probably.
Yeah, like basically
The
they
love,
are,
the love story of.
and even better because there's
Okay,
like
if,
the the reason why he
okay, but
dies makes sense.
if they
Not
do
like
that,
in
but
Titanic. But
if they actually make a movie and this become the Titanic of video games, they need to put like "My Heart Will Go On" in the end.
yeah.
They need to put in that song.
Or Celine Dion
I want to hear it.
singing.
Yes,
I don't
I want
know.
to hear Celine
I
Dion.
would. I would be too nervous about a Final Fantasy X movie, honestly.
No,
Okay,
I'm not,
that
I'm not
would
saying
be.
that they have to do it, but I believe that if they ever try to do it, and I have my thoughts
They should
about
do it.
this. Eventually, I will like to talk to you guys about how that will go, because I have a director and stuff like that for the movie to look really awesome. But
Mm,
independently of that, like my point is that if there is a Final Fantasy that should be made into a movie, is this one, because of how strong the story is, how strong
mm,
the beginning and the ending is, and the fact that the
yeah.
ending doesn't end like everything is awesome. Because I think that people have this perception that video games are just kind of candy for people, like they don't like to involve themselves with complex emotions or like sad stuff. They're always just like Mario's and stuff like that. And I think that this will show them like, I know people are gonna like the fact that it doesn't end like they thought it would end.
Yeah.
And again, the game is already out there, so the game does it already and it's awesome. But I think that that's what it makes it so awesome and so like have so much potential to transcend just the game. I don't know. I to me this is the perfect ending for that game, and honestly, kind of, yeah, it's like, just makes this game to me it's kind of like, I will even say masterpiece, honestly, in many ways. But the
Yeah, I would say
story
that too.
itself is just
Honestly.
awesome. But yeah, that's what I would potentially say about the ending.
All right, all right. Well, what I would say is, every couple of years, I watch the ending, and every time I almost cry when I see it. Honestly, so like it gets me every time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's okay, Christian. You can cry
or
on the
even
podcast if you want. Like, just
well, even in this conversation, like yeah, I got goosebumps too talking about
yeah,
this
yeah.
game. I
Yeah.
think that it's just and another point about it is that the whole game builds up to, oh man, Yuna's gonna have to die in the end. Yuna's
Yeah.
gonna have to die, and then they obviously Tirus is the one to die, and you're like, oh man, well, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
And he takes it like a champ, honestly. Like in the end, he's just like,
Yep.
yeah,
that's how it
and he
is,
tells
and I
them,
loved you, and
before,
keep going. Like you can keep. I don't know. Like he's such a good guy. I don't know.
true,
I
true.
mean,
Yeah.
okay, when you say you almost cried, I actually did cry the first
Oh,
time
the
that I
first
saw
time I
this.
did cry.
No,
The
I
first
like
time I did cry.
I
Yeah.
cry like a baby when I watched that ending, and I mean it's just like everything about it because like again, Tidus is it's technically the main character. He's the one that you spend the most time with if you choose it, and he has a strong relationship with Yuna, and then so that ending is one of the saddest endings I think in any type of story, but it's also one of the most beautiful ones visually
Yep.
and like
Mm-hmm.
emotionally
Visually, yes.
because okay, like the first thing that happens when you know that after you get to like Mount Gagasid, there's like this one wall where there's like a lot of faith there, and there's it's like a iridescent like waterfall flowing through it.
Hmm.
That thing like it turns off, it shuts off. So like all of the fireflies, they stop working. all of the faith in the temples, they just like stop emitting light and they go dark.
Yeah, the
And
dream
then sin,
ends basically. Yeah.
yeah, the dream ends, and then sin blows up, and then Tidus is about to like go. No, Juna is about to like go hug Tidus, and she just goes right through him.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't even say goodbye the right way,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it that just hits me hard. And she falls to the ground, and then fireflies come, and you're like, oh my god, why is this happening? Why did I beat this game? Why did I had a hand in this? Why? And
True.
then like the last scene is Tidus. He doesn't even like try to. He tries to hug Yuna from behind, but he doesn't press on her because he's just gonna go through her.
Yeah.
And then he actually does go through her, and he just accepts it. He accepts that he's gone, and he jumps off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's falling, he sees his dad, and he just basically like high fives his dad.
Yep.
Like his dad, it basically like goes full circle. He doesn't hate his dad anymore. They're bros again, and his dad accepts him. And oh my god, man! Like it is just one of the. I'm actually gonna watch the ending again after we get done with this because it
Probably.
just
Yeah.
gets me. It gets me every single time, and like you said, it's one of the few stories that doesn't treat the player like a kid that can comprehend emotions. It goes like, nope, you will get the feels. The feels are okay.
Yep.
Feel the feels. And man, like it's one of those few stories that does it so well.
I think is to me what makes it perfect is what I said, that it ends the story in a tragic way, right? But by respecting the rules that you set the whole game, like you understand
Yeah,
why it's happening, you understand why it's going on, you understand that there's no way to stop it. Like the game told you many times, once it happens, they're all gone, and it happened, and
but
they're
then you
all
actually
going.
see it,
Yeah, like you're
and
always
actually
hoping that
seeing.
it won't, but then the game says no, like this is how it is. Like it makes it more real, like it makes it like a real ending, like like no Deus Ex Machina happened, no random
Ah,
stuff
thank you
happened.
for saying that. I was about to say like, thank God they didn't use a Deus Ex Machina because
Yeah.
that is one of the things that most irks me when you make a story. If you use a Deus Ex Machina, I go like, man, you suck. That is just cheap.
Yeah,
That's just cheap, man.
but
And
as you
that
said,
is
it's
true.
just a beautiful ending, honestly. And yeah, I think that with this we should kind of end. There are of course things that we didn't like about the game that we could discuss somewhere else. Like Seymour, we didn't really talk about Seymour. I don't know how much I really
Well,
like
we
Seymour.
talked about it a little bit.
Yeah,
We mentioned.
but
Yeah,
anyway,
but we didn't.
yeah, the point of this podcast is to kind of talk about the things that we did like, and just be happy about the fact that we were able to experience them. So that's kind of right why we talk about these things, right? And not that much about the negative stuff. But
Mhm.
honestly, I would recommend this game to anyone. Like I would
Yeah.
say, I would probably tell them to play this as their first Final Fantasy, if they haven't even played one, because of the fact that it's kind of shorter than the other ones, and the story is so good, and the graphics are pretty good or pretty nice. Even the original version, not even the remastered. So if anyone that's hearing this that shouldn't be hearing this because there are a lot of spoilers, uh, who haven't, if that person hasn't played the game yet, you should just go get it and play it yourselves, because there are many things that we didn't mention here. Uh, and I think it's on PS4 right now, and there's a remastered version of 10 and 10.2, the sequel, right?
On a
Uh,
PS4?
on PS4, yeah, and PS3
Oh
too, I
wow,
think.
I have a better reason now to get a PS4 then.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. But
Yeah.
anyway, if you wanna revisit those memories or see it uh, uh, basically better than you did before, you can get it. I recommend it. And just thank you guys. Thank you for talking to me about this, and just uh, yeah, being fans of the game, and just basically yeah, your input was really valuable. And I don't know, I really want to play this game again after
Yeah, I kind of
talking.
want to play it too.
Yeah.
But
mean,
anyway, I don't know if you want to
um,
you guys want to say something, or before we go.
Yeah, you want to say something,
hmm.
Christian?
Well, I just want to say we all love this game. We recommend it, and if we get one person to play the game or something, that would be super awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Um, so I want to say that if you've never played the game, go get it. It's a really good game. If you've played the game, play it again because I want to play it again.
Yeah.
It's Final Fantasy X is to me one of the greatest games out there. I'm not gonna say the greatest because you never know what's gonna come out the next day, but still, it is one of the best stories, the best characters, the best everything.
Yeah.
It's a really enjoyable game. So, like Christian said, if even one person plays the game because of this podcast, worth it, super worth it.
Even if they played it again, like that,
Even if they
even that
played
would
it
be
again,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
pretty
I
much.
would add that too.
Yeah,
But anyway, that's what we think. We really want to see what you think. Like, you could also write in the comments, like, what were the things that you really like? What were moments that you really remember about the game? Things that we missed out on, which are a lot, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, just tell us what you think. Tell us if you want us to talk about a certain game. I will make everything like try to get people that really like the game to talk about that game. So anyway, let me know what you think about the game, what you think about us, what you think about basically the podcast in general, and hopefully you'll hear the next one. This has been What We Love. Thanks, Jorge and Christian, for being with me, and we'll see you guys
anytime.
later.